When you think about the nerve centers of global power, what comes to mind? The Kremlin's imposing walls, the White House's iconic facade, maybe the glass towers of Wall Street. These are the obvious symbols, the grand stages where history is written in bold letters. But what if I told you that the real currents of change, the subtle tremors that precede political earthquakes, often begin in a much humbler setting, a place filled with the gentle clinking of porcelain and the fragrant steam of boiling water. A simple tea shop. For centuries, across vast swathes of Asia, the tea shop has been more than just a place to quench your thirst. It's the village's living, breathing social network. Before newspapers, before the internet, this was the central hub for information. It was the original town square, the local parliament, and the gossip column all rolled into one. Farmers, merchants, scholars, and laborers would gather over a pot of freshly brewed tea, and the day's news would unfold. Harvest reports, market prices, new edicts from a distant capital, a neighbor's scandal, it all flowed as freely as the tea itself. This wasn't just idle chatter. It was the formation of public opinion, one shared story at a time. It was the ecosystem where a community's collective consciousness was formed and reinforced. Fast forward to today. The world has changed dramatically. We have smartphones in our pockets that connect us to the entire globe in an instant. Yet, the tea shop endures. Of course, they've evolved. In bustling cities like Shanghai or Taipei, you'll find sleek, modern tea houses with Wi-Fi and minimalist decor, serving everything from artisanal oolong to bubble tea. In the dusty backstreets of Lahore or the quiet villages of Vietnam, perhaps in a mountainous road of Sri Lanka, the old-world wooden benches and simple clay pots remain. But regardless of their appearance, their fundamental role as a communication center has not diminished. The topics might have shifted from the price of rice to the latest stock market trends, or a viral video, but the dynamic is the same. People gather, they talk, they argue, they connect. The tea house remains the primary node for face-to-face interaction, a vital counterbalance to our increasingly digital lives. This is where we get to the heart of their hidden power. The people who frequent these establishments are what you might call the foot soldiers of civilization. They aren't the generals or the presidents, but they are the ones who feel the impact of every decision made in those grand halls of power. They are the ones who pay the taxes, fight the wars, and build the cities. A new tax on grain. The grumbling starts in the tea shop. A rumor of conscription. The whispers of dissent spread from table to table. The tea shop is the barometer of the common person's mood. It's where discontent crystallizes into a shared grievance. While a king or a prime minister might be insulated from the public, surrounded by advisors, the sentiment on the ground is raw and unfiltered here. And it's this sentiment that ultimately fuels everything from local protests to full-blown revolutions. Think of it as a political butterfly effect. A single conversation over a cup of jasmine tea can ripple outwards with astonishing force. A disgruntled merchant scribbles a complaint on a napkin. It gets passed around, discussed, and refined. Others add their own stories of hardship. Soon, that one complaint becomes a petition. That petition becomes a protest. A local official, wanting to keep the peace, might concede to their demands, or they might try to suppress it. If they suppress it, the anger only intensifies. Word spreads to tea shops in the next town and the next. That single, scribbled note, born from a moment of frustration in a humble tea shop, can ignite a movement that challenges the very foundations of the state. History is filled with examples of uprisings and reforms that began not in a war room, but with quiet, determined conversations in public spaces just like this. So, here's a thought for the leaders of the world, sitting in their fortified offices, planning their grand strategies. It's easy to dismiss the chatter in a faraway tea shop as insignificant noise. It's easy to believe that power only flows from the top down. But that's a dangerous mistake. The true power, the kind that endures and can topple empires, often bubbles up from the ground. It's nurtured in these simple, unassuming establishments. To ignore the conversations happening over those steaming cups is to ignore the very pulse of the people you claim to lead. The real power doesn't always roar from a podium. Sometimes it whispers from a corner table in a tea shop, and that whisper, if you listen closely, can be louder than any decree. Thanks for watching. As always, this is your host Donica DeQuella, signing off with a request. Until next time, if you found this perspective interesting, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more explorations into the hidden forces that shape our world. See you next time.